Hey friends, it's Mel. Welcome back to my kitchen. It's time to sit back, relax, see what I made for dinner this week, and hopefully you'll find something you might want to try next week too. If you're enjoying my channel, I'd like to invite you to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you're enjoying my What's for Dinners and grocery hauls, give this video a big thumbs up so I'll know you like what you see. The first meal I made was very easy. I threw in some steak tips in the crock pot. All you need is a package of brown gravy mix. I like to buy this Pioneer because it makes a little bit more. It's 2 cups, a can of cream of mushroom soup, and that's all it takes to make this gravy. I just mix that dry gravy mix into 2 cups of water, and then I'll add my cream of mushroom soup. But once you get all that mixed up, you'll see I've sprayed my crock pot and I just pour the gravy in. So I take a little bit of oil into my skillet, throw in my first pack of meat. I don't want to crowd it. I'm not really cooking it here, but I'm just trying to give it a nice brown color on the outsides, get a little bit of color on it, and seal in those flavor and those juices. So I'll do my first little package of meat, and all I do is just some salt and pepper on it because that gravy mix is going to have plenty enough flavor for it. Once I get these browned up on each side, I'll just take a little slotted spoon and pour it over into my crock pot. After I cook up my second package of meat, I just go ahead and dump it and the grease down in my crock pot, stir it around in that gravy, get it all covered up, put the lid on it, and let it cook for about 4 or 5 hours on low. When I come back in, I see I want that my gravy's just a little bit loose, so I want to thicken it up just a little bit. So I made a slurry. I just took a couple of tablespoons of flour and a little bit of water, mixed it all together, and then I'll pour it into my crock pot and mix it into that meat a little bit. I'm going to put it up on high now and put the lid on it, and it can just sit there while I'm putting the rest of supper together, thickening up. Now I had a bunch of leftovers. I had a little bit of corn and green beans and some mashed potatoes. I had a few leftover biscuits and a roll. And then I had a big bunch of salad fixings. So I just threw a lot of leftovers together with this meal. I hate to waste food. And I just took my leftover mashed potatoes and sprayed a casserole dish, put them down in there, and then I added a little bit of whipping cream. I had this little container I needed to get used up. And I just got them, pretty good consistency mixed up in there. And then I just spread them out, put a few little pats of butter on the top of it. And I'm just going to reheat those in the oven. I had planned on making potato cakes with these leftover mashed potatoes, but it just didn't work out this week. When I knew I had these steak tips to cook, I knew that we just really needed more mashed potatoes with that gravy. And I just had little bits, odds and ends of everything here, but that was okay. When you have a enough of just a little of everything. Everybody can just have a bite of whatever they want, and I like to clean out my fridge like that. And I don't cover these mashed potatoes when I put them in the oven. I just stick them in there, I think on about 350, and I just watched them. I don't really remember how long it takes them. I've never timed it. I just sort of watch them when they're in there. Then I'm going to chop up a few little vegetables to have on our salad. I do love these butter lettuce salad kits. I think when you're in a pinch, those are the best ones of all the bag salads. And when you cook these steak tips or any kind of meat like this in the crock pot with some gravy, you know it just falls apart fork tender. And there are those good looking buttery mashed potatoes. I'm just going to stir that butter in a little bit on them. I have one daughter who's not a big beef eater, so I threw her some chicken fries in the oven. But, you know, I don't mind. She's still got a really healthy, good looking plate. And then here's my plate. Lots of gravy on those mashed potatoes, big side salad, just a spoonful of green beans and stuff, and those wonderful beef tips. And those are just so hearty. I like to make beef stew, and I really like these steak tips with the gravy too. And then I've got a little chicken recipe for you. I think it's called crispy cheddar chicken. You could do just a million variations on this, but we're going to have this with some baked potatoes tonight. And I just scrubbed my potatoes up real good, and then I'm going to coat them with olive oil and then come back over and rub some sea salt on them. And I didn't poke any holes or anything in them. I just went ahead and put them on a little baking sheet, and I'm going to stick them in the oven. I want to get them in there first, even before the chicken, so they could just go ahead and start doing their thing. My youngest daughter was in the kitchen helping me this night. That was a lot of fun, but I did trim the chicken up a little bit. She didn't much care for that part. She's had to do that in her culinary class at school, and she said that was the worst thing that she hated in there, so I told her I'd take care of that. Once we had our chicken all trimmed up there, we went ahead and made up our little dredging station. And I just put probably a 1/4 cup of milk in a little dish, and then I threw me in a couple big heaping tablespoons of mayonnaise. Mayonnaise gives the chicken the best flavor, and it keeps it so moist. We're going to season them, salt and pepper. I believe I used a little bit of garlic powder too. We'll do one side, and then we're just going to flip them over and do the very same thing to the second side. Now I showed her the first one, and then she did the rest of them. The first thing we do is just dredge both sides of it real good in that milk and mayonnaise. Then we had some shredded cheddar cheese laying out here, probably 1.5 cups to start with, but you're just going to go how much ever you need. We went back a couple times and got more. And then we have a big sleeve of crushed up Ritz crackers laying here, and we would press the chicken into that and then press the crackers on the top and then lay it in a greased 9x13 baking dish. You can see that cheese and that buttery Ritz crackers there. So there's our dish, and I had forgotten to cover it with foil. We were in there just being silly and having a good time. Covered that and baked it for about 35 minutes on 400, then uncovered it for another 5. We checked it with thermometer and it was perfect. So loaded baked potatoes, her favorite green beans, and this crispy cheddar chicken. It was so good. Now the next dish I'm going to bring you, I didn't have everybody at home with me like I normally do, so I kind of talked you through it. And this dish is an Enchilada Casserole. It's a recipe that I've had for a long time, but I had not made it in a while. I had really been thinking about it and just had to pull it out.
Alright friends, you hear my oven kind of heating up back there. It makes a funny noise when it's heating. I've got my water back here for my rice boiling. Looks like it's going to get up to a boil real quick. And I started my ground beef right here. I'm going to get my onion chopped up here. And I'm going to try this. I have this little wet paper towel. My friend Joy Waters, she's my friend in real life. I mean, we live in the same town. But she does have like a little cooking thing she does. It's on Venmo, I think is what it's called, but you can find her on Facebook and get to her videos from there. It's called Finding Joy, Joy, in the kitchen. She's a good cook. She's an excellent cook, and she cooks like, you know, like what we like. But anyhow, she posted a little thing the other day, and it said, the reason that your eyes water when you chop an onion, oh, I'm getting it everywhere too. The reason that your eyes water when you chop an onion is because of something, the chemicals or something that's in it, they're drawn to the nearest water source. So they said to try and wet like a little paper towel or something and lay it beside your onion when you're chopping it and see if that helps. So that's what I'm doing tonight. So far so good. Of course this is a sweet onion. I pretty much only do red onions or sweet onions. But you know, I don't smell it real strong. I don't smell it like it's right up here in my face like it, you know, can be. So there's your little tip to try. You can thank my friend Joy. I'll link her Facebook page down in my box so you can go and check her out. She's a real sweetie. Her and another friend of mine, they're both Waters. Joy Waters and Amy Waters. They've got like a little antiques and crafting booth at a place here in town, but they're super girls. I love them. Good women. And Amy has a local little cupcake business that she does orders for cupcakes. It's called Cupcake Annie's because her name's Amy and her daughter's name is Anna. And I guess that's a little combination, but they're good. I've had them. They're great. I'm just going to chop up a little bit more onion. This is probably more than enough right here. This little bit chopped up. And I'll use it tomorrow. On Tuesday nights, we pretty much always have chili buns, hot dogs. Tuesday nights is a busy night. It's good night. I have a small group at my church, and we started during all the pandemic mess, and we do it via Zoom, and it's really got quite convenient. Our church is back, not all the way to a regular schedule. Sorry, that's my oven, but we're getting there. But I'll have to say, I've got kind of spoiled. This Zoom is nice. I can come in. I do work till about 3:30 on Tuesdays. And chili buns. Hey, I'm going to throw my little towel away. That really worked. Thank you. I work till about 3:30, and then I can come home and throw chili buns together. And I can have that cooked and cleaned up. Set a timer for that rice in no time. I don't have to go anywhere. As soon as we're done, I can log off and get back over here to cleaning up or whatever I need to do. Some of you was telling me that you're not able to get out and go to church. You, in the comments, y'all been telling me about yourselves, and I love that. I wish I could do more of these. Y'all might not like them because I'm in here talking, but I wish I could do more of these videos like this, because I like to talk to you. I like to meet new people, and y'all are the nicest folks. You have made me feel so at home and so welcomed and so loved here on YouTube. But anyway, y'all was telling me you couldn't get out and go to church, or you weren't having church yet. Some of you is just now opening up where you live. But I don't say much about it, but in my description box, I always leave a link to my church's YouTube channel. On Sunday mornings, it's about 10:30 or 10:45. They always live stream the Sunday morning service. And if you want to worship and you're not able to get out and go, you're welcome to join in. We'd love to have you. They're also on Facebook. And then my pastor also does a live stream from his house on Sunday evenings about 6 o'clock and about 6 or 7 o'clock on Wednesdays. And that will be on YouTube, not live. It doesn't stream, but they do upload it later. Alright, well, I'm going to get the rest of my stuff together. Okay, I have my ground beef all drained off, and I turned my stove off. And then I'm just going to put my beef and onions back into my skillet. And then you're just going to start mixing some stuff in here. You're going to take 2 cups of salsa. I believe that's this whole jar. Yes, I remembered correctly. That's pretty much a whole jar. And then you've got a can of black beans that you've rinsed and drained real good. I'm going to toss them in here. Then you're going to use 1/4 of a cup. It says reduced fat Italian. I didn't have that, so I'm just using zesty Italian. I'm going to measure it out and be pretty precise. Use a little squirt more because I had more than a pound of ground beef. I had about 1.25 pounds. And then 2 tablespoons of taco seasoning. And I had a little packet that I had already opened. It's probably 2 tablespoons. We're going to see what's in it. Mix all this up. This recipe, I actually got it years ago out of my local paper. And we have a food section. Yeah, we'll just get the rest of it and be done with it. And every Wednesday, they have a whole little section of our paper dedicated to the food section. Little lady named Olivia Sipe is the editor of that, and she always brings the best recipes. You'll have things, local stuff that she's doing, and then there's stuff in there that's, I don't know where it comes from. It's more like from maybe a national newspaper or something that comes in there. But anywho, this years ago, this lady, she was the sister of one of the firemen that my dad works with, and her name just escapes me right now. I'll pop it up on the screen right here. Anyhow, she was featured this week in our food section and had some of her recipes in the paper. And she's a great cook, and this was one of her recipes, and I have loved it ever since then. We're lucky like that. I still live in a fairly small town, and we get good stuff like that in our newspaper. I've gotten a lot of good recipes on Wednesdays out of the newspaper. That's the day the grocery ads come out. I mean, it is small town USA here. Alrighty, got all that mixed up pretty good. I've got the heat off. I'm just mixing it in my skillet here to make it easy. Alright, let me turn you around and we'll put this thing together. Okie dokie. I've got like a 2-quart pot here. This one has a lid. You do bake this covered, so I'll just use the lid. If you could just put aluminum foil. But I sprayed it real good with Pam, and then I took 3 flour tortillas. They're like the soft taco size, about 8 inches. And you're going to coat this real good with Pam so it don't stick, and put your tortillas down in it. Then you're going to take half of this meat mixture and put it over the top. And I hear my people coming in here, and that's fine. So I may not be able to do this whole little recipe talking you through it. Most of the time when I'm in here cooking, it's in the evening. Everybody's coming in from work, school, if it's during the school year. And our routine and the way our house is laid out, the kitchen's right in the middle of everything, and I love that because I'm always in here and I don't want to get left out. But I can hear the TV if my husband's already in there, you know, settling down for the evening. And we're usually, you know, talking about our day and that kind of stuff. The kids are coming in. We're talking about the day. And I wouldn't have it any other way, but that is just how it is. I bring you real life. I'm bringing you the stuff we're really eating every night. And I'm standing in here talking to my family when I'm making it. So that's why my videos are always voiceover. Alright, so I've probably got about half of that mixture. Gonna spread that out real good. That looks good already. It's hard to tell. I think I'm gonna throw another big spoonful in there though. You don't want one layer to be real thick and one of them to be kind of skimpy. Alright. So you got that little concoction there laid down. And then you're going to go in with some sour cream. Of course, she had this all like reduced fat and low sodium. But I don't really have that stuff here, so we're not using that. The recipe says 3/4 a cup. It doesn't say it's divided, so I'm just kind of going to guess. I'm probably going to throw in like half a cup right there, and I'll just spread that out best I can. It's going to get all like melted down in there and stuff anyway. I'm doing this left-handed. Let me move you so I can use my right arm without it being in the way. Okay, so sorry about that. Here comes sour cream. And then I'm going to throw you, it says a cup of cheese. I don't know if that doesn't say it's divided, so I'm just going to cover it with cheese. I've got a 2-cup bag. We'll see what I end up with left over. Then you're just going to repeat that layer, all these layers again. So let me grab 3 more of these flour tortillas. I cannot even say that right anymore. I have called them tortillas, just being silly for so long. Look, that one's little. Don't use that one. But I can't even say the word tortilla. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And then let's take the rest of that meat mixture. And this makes so much. So we'll have leftovers. We can take them for lunch. You know we're going to eat it another night. I probably take some over to my mama. She don't get food like this a lot. My dad's not a big Mexican eater. He's a beans and tater kind of guy. He'll eat it, you know, if she makes it, but it ain't his favorite, so she don't make it often. So she probably like to have a good bit of this. Okay. Let's get the rest of this sour cream. I'm just going to use what's left in this container. Spread it out on here some. It's hard to spread that sour cream into that meat. It's still warm. Just want some melt down in there immediately. Then you serve this up when you get it out. I've got some shredded lettuce and tomatoes and stuff. I've got some green onions in the fridge. That'd be good to put on top of it. And I've just stood right here and changed my mind. I'm not going to put my covered lid, my glass lid on this. I think I'm just going to put aluminum foil. No, I changed my mind again. I don't want that full. This is pretty tall and I don't want that aluminum foil to stick to this cheese. Alright, so we're going to put that in a 400-degree oven, covered, for 25 minutes. Then we'll uncover it and cook it 5 minutes more. And then we'll let it stand for 5 minutes. So, if I don't get to talk to you anymore, I'll talk to you in the voiceover. But I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed putting this together with you here. Just the two of us getting to talk. And anywho, let's get it going.
So this is mine out of the oven. It had baked about 25 minutes at 400 degrees, covered. Then I uncovered it for about 5 more minutes. But I did have a couple places on the bottom where I guess it just got overbaked and my bottom tortilla got kind of tough on me. So really know your oven on this one and don't overbake it. It was still delicious, and once I heated the leftovers up in the microwave for lunch, it really helped that bottom tortilla. But this was something I hadn't had in so long, and it really hit the spot. And I had it with that Goya rice that my friend Ann over at What's Family Home was had recommended. I had an abundance of brownie mixes, and I needed to get rid of some of them, get them made up before the dates on them went out. So I just went to Pinterest and I googled, how do you doctor up boxed brownie mixes? I have a pin for you down there. She had like, I don't even remember, 20 or 30 different things you could do with a box of brownie mix. So here's what I chose to do, and this was delicious. Anytime that I make my brownies, I always add 1 extra egg just to make them cakey, because sometimes brownies will be almost too gooey. I've had to eat them with a spoon before. I didn't care to do it. They still tasted good, but they just wasn't like the consistency you could pick them up with your hand and eat them. So I am making mine just like the box says and adding that extra egg. And then the only different thing I'm doing here, she said to add in half a bag of mini marshmallows. You could use some pecans or any kind of nut that you like down in here, but you could make this like a Mississippi mud brownie real easy. I like to, when I'm making brownies or bars, I like to take a piece of parchment paper and put it down in my pan and grease it with some spray and cook it. And then look how this comes out. You can still see a little bit of the marshmallows in the middle where it puffed up. But look how easy this parchment, after it has set for just a few minutes, you can just lift that out, peel those sides down, and these brownies cut up so nicely. And this had the best flavor. You didn't see the marshmallows in the brownies, but it tastes so gooey. And it was like almost like caramel. I just can't explain it. It was so yummy. We all enjoyed these so much. But friends, I hope you've enjoyed this week's What's for Dinner. If you have, give it a big thumbs up. That will really help my channel out. I'm so happy to have all of the new friends here that have come on recently. I'm enjoying getting to know you down in the comments. So if you've not been taking advantage of that, please hop down there and introduce yourself. I'd love to talk to you. Be sure to come back Wednesday. I'm going to have a really big Kroger haul. You know, I've been doing a lot of fill-ins and I had to stock back up. Then I'll have another good What's for Dinner for you next Sunday. Working on lots of great things. Guys, I love you. I appreciate you. And until next time, I send you love from my kitchen.